All right, welcome everyone. We are your landlords, flooding and tapping out so that you don't have to, with the occasional screw. My name's Graham. I go by HamHocks42 on the internet, and I'm joined by Astralsflame. Astrals, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Ham. How you doing, bud? It's a busy week for me, but how's your week been?
A little busy as well, but I'd rather be busy than bored. So no
Yeah.
complaints. Yeah.
And I would say I don't think we've been bored at all this week, considering our listing today is literally Phyrexia All is One and the Explorer Anthology.
Oh my goodness, there's so much
Like,
going on.
so,
So new cards have entered Arena with the Explorer Anthology. A couple of real bangers too. Um, and then Phyrexia All will be one, which is the set that's going to be coming out in February, and I mean, they did their first look stream and spoiled a couple of cards that, like, I think they spoiled 6 cards. I want to say revealed like
yes.
six different cards. One of which is a reprint, which possibly was the biggest reveal of the whole set or the whole stream. And frankly, all of the cards are interesting and cool in one way or another. With the
100% agree.
possible exception of that one Boros legendary who's just like, equipment still mattered, I guess. But like, he
Yeah.
was cool. Like, I know ill will towards the character, but that was kind of eh. But so we're probably not gonna spend much time on him. But the other ones, excellent stuff.
Oh, 100%. The other ones were great. I mean, that 5-mana 4/7. Oh, the 5-mana 4/7.
With vigilance.
With
Like,
yes.
I had this wandering emperor. Oh, too bad. Yeah.
Like, we thought She Holdred was like, good on a 4/5 body with Death Touch, but a 4/7 for 5 with
Oh my goodness.
Vigilance. Like,
Yeah.
Elesh Norn.
Elesh Norn, the mother of machines. Yes. Machine Mama in the house. Holy cow. Yeah, I mean, we knew that Elesh Norn had to be good, right? Like,
Yeah.
she's the big bad, like the leader of Phyrexia. So, and all the Praetors have kind of been like cool and interesting designs, with like Urabrask and Jingitaxis being like maybe the less, not quite as playable because
Yeah.
they're a little expensive for what you get. Meanwhile, Sheldred probably, kind of being the
And
like
most
tippy
played.
top, amazing, and to be honest, like even after seeing Elesh Norn, I think in standard, Sheldred is still like the gold standard as far as these Praetors are concerned. But I know I'm going to be building around Elesh Norn.
Big time.
So, yeah, we mentioned her stat line. So she, 4/7 vigilance for 5. So 4 and a white. She's also splashable, which is kind of nuts. But her abilities are so insane because all the Praetors give you a massive benefit and then give your opponent some kind of like mirrored detriment. Like in the case of, for example, like Vorinclex, Monster Trader, the first of this new cycle. Like it doubles all your counters and your opponent like doesn't get, or it doesn't have it has the counters that your opponents get.
How's,
Or does
yeah.
it, yeah,
How's
I was about to
rounded
say,
down?
does it shut them down completely? I mean,
No,
it might as
wait.
well.
Yeah, no, it shuts down completely.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's shut down.
insane. Yeah, absolute bonkers. But in any like my counters are awesome, yours are not, and we're having fun. And Elesh Norn is in that same vein. And like Sheldred is so incredible because it triggers off of card draw, which is something that everybody does all the time in Magic, no matter
Literally.
what. Like that's what makes that so special. But like I'm gaining life when this happens, you're losing life when this happens. Cool. In the case of Elesh Norn, whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control, it happens twice. So it's a Panharmonicon style effect on a creature that was already, like, the stat line was already good enough to merit the cost of the critter. And then on top of that, if your opponents would trigger an ability off of any permanent entering the battlefield, they just don't.
At all.
At all.
I think from Twitter, my favorite tagline that I've seen of Elesh Norn has been Panharmomicon.
But too, and I love it. Yes.
If you think how effective that ability is in the meta right now on ETBs, like Titan, no ETB. Blood Tithe Harvesters, no ETB. That means a Fable plus Harvester, they'd already need the blood tokens in play. Corpse Appraiser, shut off. Like, a lot of these big things that people are trying to do for advantage and stuff are just, like, shut off by this simple 5-drop. And, like, granted, yeah, Elesh Norn dies to removal, but, like, they specifically do have to have the removal spell in this case, like She Holdred. If Norn's sticking, like, your value up, there's
Yeah, it's just Dunzo. It's incredible. Yeah, the other thing I find fascinating is I've been seeing a lot of like Selesnya enchantments lists recently. I don't know if that's just happens to be what I've been lining up against. Maybe it's a luck factor. I'm in platinum right now on Arena because I'm not pushing my rank super hard, but that's my excuse anyway. That's we're midway through the season. I'm not even diamond yet, but let's not worry about it. But in any event, there's a ton of removal right now that is an enchantment or a creature entering the battlefield and then exiling something. We have Circle of Confinement, we have Leyline Binding, we have Borrowed Time still sees some play in like certain enchantment focused lists. Prayer of Binding, another one that again in like fringe like Zur kind of situations, you see people running it from time to time. So like all of those are shut off. And also most of those are white. Like, actually, I think all the ones I just mentioned are white.
Yeah, they are.
Which happens to be Elesh Norn's color. So you can put all of those in the exact same deck. Because when I have Elesh Norn on the field, if I cast a Borrowed Time, I get to exile 2 non-land permanents, and you just have to deal with it. And then if you have a Borrowed Time or a Leyline Binding, and you'd like to use it to remove my Elesh Norn, well, tough luck.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Shuts it off. Like, even on, like, the curve of 5, like, Azorius Soldiers, like, Brutal Cathar, right? ETB on Cathar. There's a couple other soldiers that have their ETB effects too. Like suddenly, I think Norn's capability to fit into, like you've just talked with the enchantment deck, even in some of the mid-range decks, even in the soldiers deck.
Yeah,
that's a versatile card, especially at the top end of 5 and a 4/7. Like,
oh yeah, and we're just talking about standard. Yeah. Like, can you imagine once Commander players get their hands on this? Like, people were already running Panharmonicon and, Yarrick and all those other cards already that were already doing this. And now we just have another one. So it's like, my goodness. And on top of that, being able to shut down the opponent's action at the, in the midst of all that too is like, that's huge. Because there are way more game plans in Magic that revolve around ETBs than you might think. It's easy to forget how kind of ubiquitous that is. Because, I mean, how easy would it be? And, I mean, I know I'm going to do this. Like, so straight up, like, on stream, you're going to be able to watch me do this. I guarantee. When my opponent having Elesh Norn on the field, I don't have an answer in hand. It's like, all right, I'm just going to play out my Spirited Companion real quick and hopefully draw into an answer. It's like, well.
Oh, no. I've got this cute little 1/1 for 2.
Yeah, just a 1/1 dog for 2.
Yo.
Awesome. Oh. And on top of that, there's going to be that moment on Arena that we all know and love from when we've wheeled into Narset where the red aura just kind of goes, wah, wah, wah. Like, that's the worst little sound effect. I hate it. Like, it feels so bad.
It is.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot.
It is. And, like, it's not going to be, I will say it's not going to be uncommon for someone to forget about that because it is just like a simple, sometimes you just don't think, heck, I've played into Vorinclex on, like, Sagas and be like, hey, my Saga this, back in the day of binding the old gods, my binding is going to do some real work here, and it looked real pretty. It was a form-hand enchantment that looked pretty.
I've done that exact same thing. Yeah, tap out binding, all right, we're gonna be fine, and then just like sticks, and it just sits there. It's like, oh. But the upside, because the counters never go on it, it also just sits there. Exactly, it just looks like we just kind of blinged out that little portion of the battlefield. It's not gonna do anything, but it's gonna look nice.
This is my corner. You can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at that point, binding the old gods, it's just a poster that you're putting up on that part of the battlefield. That's all it is. It's yeah, exactly. And we're gonna see a lot of that same kind of thing with Elesh Norn. Absolutely. Yeah.
But like on that same vein of new things coming out, like we just kind of touched on it too. Like Norn's a big one. Obliterator coming back. Phyrexia Obliterator. What's your opinion on that coming back? Are you excited? Like I know you know my thoughts, but I want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think the card's incredible. So Phyrexia Obliterator, if you are not familiar, you're going to become familiar because people will absolutely be playing this card. It is a 5/5 trampler for 4. All 4 is black mana. So you have to have 4 black mana in order to cast it. So that's the downside. But you get a 5/5 trampler. Now that already is worth the price of admission, frankly. But wait, there's more. Whenever damage is dealt to Phyrexia Obliterator by any source, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. It's not non-land permanents, it's any permanents. So you have this little 5/5 trampler. If you attack into your opponent and they don't know what's going on, and they have like a 6/6 blocker, or let's go silly for this case of example. Let's say they have a Rust Goliath. It's a 10/10. Like, you swing a Phyrexian Obliterator, they're just like, it's just a 5/5. I'm gonna block with my 10/10, no problem. That smashes the Obliterator for 10, and then so your Obliterator definitely goes squish. It's gone, but yeah, you're giggling. You're fine because now all of a sudden a trigger goes on the stack that forces them to sacrifice 10 permanents. Fun fact: in the case of Arena, if they don't have 10 permanents online, it won't let them. It won't even give them the choice to choose anything. They'll all just go poof.
The best feeling in the world.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And then there's going to be a pause. And then they're going to hover over your graveyard to see the Phyrexian Obliterator and read it again. That is a moment that's going to happen to a lot of people because Obliterator, everybody gets got by it once. Like everybody, it hurts, man. It's rough.
It's like a rite of passage in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun too because and you're gonna also see streamers. You're gonna see a lot of streamers who are like relatively new to the game have that moment of like what the no but you're also gonna see streamers who know what's going on who attack with the Obliterator and be like they don't know. Oh, they don't know. They're gonna block. Oh, let's go. Oh, we're all gonna. It's gonna happen. Also, another synergy that I've tried making work in Historic in the past because Phyrexian Obliterator is available in Historic right now. A synergy that I've tried making work with it that wasn't quite consistent enough is fight spells. Ooh. So a lot of fight spells are in green, but when you use a fight spell with a Phyrexian Obliterator, and it has to be a fight spell, not a bite spell. Like like the bite spells, like the Rabid Bite and whatnot, they just deal damage to the other thing. That's not going to do it. You actually want it to be a full-on fight spell, which actually most of those are cheaper because they're generally considered worse because the opposing creature gets to hit your thing back. Yep. Which is exactly what we're looking for. So all of a sudden, if they've got a 4/4 online and you got your 5/5 Obliterator, you hit like a Bushwhack is a fight spell that's available in standard right now. Targeting the Obliterator, targeting the other thing, they smack into each other. Your Obliterator kills their thing, and then they have to sacrifice 4 permanents. That's devastating. I mean, you hit your opponent with that once, they're probably out of the game. Because then you also get to attack. Like, yeah.
So, hear me out, because this is going to seem a little bit awkward. So, like, I have an Invoke Despair list in Jund right now. It hits the four pips for Invoke pretty easily. Now, because we're in Jund, we have green, we have red, and we have black. So picture this, Fable of the Mirror Breaker on 3, right? Little gobble, you got the 2/2, yeah. So you drop down your Obliterator on 4. Your little goblin attacks in, you get that sweet little treasure, and then you Bushwhack.
It's nasty, and I love it.
It's turn 4, and their board is gone.
It's over, yeah. If you can hit it that early, that's it, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm so into it. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But like I said, I tried making it work on Historic, and it didn't quite fire. Like it was just a little too slow to set up. And at the time I was doing it, there were more like combo decks that weren't relying on board presence. So a lot of times I found myself in a situation where there just wasn't a creature to fight, even if I got it online. So I was like, I guess I'm smacking you with this 5/5, which is fine, but and targeted destroy removal doesn't do anything. However, if your opponent wants to remove it with damage, if they want to get rid of it with a Rending Flame, they're gonna have to eat 5 things to do it. So that's a problem. Like red decks are gonna struggle a lot with Obliterator.
Hugely. I think Obliterator actually sets like the mono red aggro deck that's been kind of kicking in back a step to maybe not Meathook Massacre levels of decimation, but if an Obliterator lands down, it's like a She-Holder sticking against an aggro deck. If it lands and you're at like 10 plus health, your opponent's probably just not winning the game, and you're just gonna control it from there.
Totally. Well, and that's the thing, exactly. Because right now, like Sheoldred is a pretty bad hit against an aggro deck because it's got 4/5 Death Touch, and the controller is gaining life every turn, potentially multiple times if they have spells or abilities that draw them cards. So, like that hurts. However, Rending Flame is a nice clean answer to Sheoldred. It's like instant speed, 5 damage. We're done. Move on. I have a feeling we're going to see some of these like Grixis decks and, mono black decks that are running Sheoldred right now either put Obliterator into the main or at the very least into the sideboard against mono red for that exact reason. Because the Sheoldred is rough against mono red. Obliterator is a death sentence.
Yes.
If that thing hits the field against red, they are done. It is over. And if they are, in a good position, if the red deck is taking advantage, they need to be able to kill on the attack, like on the swing after the Obliterator hits, or it's over. Because if the opponent's dead, then whatever, the triggers can be on the stack. I don't care, obviously, because the game's over. But if they don't win in that combat, they're gonna have to sacrifice a lot, especially if like a Monastery Swift Spear is attacking in with like 3 damage or 4 damage. Obliterator steps in front of that. I mean, those red decks run pretty lean. You know, you don't have a lot of stuff to sacrifice. So if you have to get one more combat past that, it's probably over. And the Grixis or the Mono Black player knows, you know, against red, like you don't often attack against red. You just keep whatever you have back to block. And an Obliterator blocking against red is gonna wreck their day pretty hard. Yeah.
They're gonna be obliterated, for lack of
indeed. The name is pretty fitting. Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for a lot of people. But I don't know. The one interesting kind of counter argument, the big question, is it better than Sheoldred at the 4-drop slot in black? Because they are competing for the same spot.
They are.
You can't run too many 4-drops. You got to be careful about that. So
you do.
We'll see.
I'm curious how the meta is going to shape up. I have an inkling, like how you said, it's going to be main or sideboard. I have a feeling it'll do that split unless for some reason someone decides to do a 2-2 split. But I have an inkling it's going to be mainboard, sideboard type of situation. Unless you're just in mono black and you know, cut your Evoke Despairs down a bit and suddenly go, here's 3 Sheoldred, here's Phyrexia, Obliterators is 3. Have at thee. It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then all of a sudden, yeah, you're sitting on 6, maybe 7 cards in the whole deck, and if I hit any of them on turn 4, you're dead. So, all right, cool. Yeah, that feels pretty good.
You gotta agree.
Yeah.
But so Phyrexia is 1 coming out in February. Big cards coming to standard, but we just got the Explorer drop. Nykthos is in Arena now.
Happening. It's happening. So Arena players everywhere can experience what Pioneer players have been screaming about on social media in the mono green Devotion deck. Because that has been just the thing in Pioneer for a long time. I personally don't play Pioneer just because I don't have a physical play group that plays it. And I cannot get past MTGO. I want to love it. I can't. You know, and so it is what it is. Pioneer sounds like a really cool format. And with Nykthos entering, we're getting much closer to Explorer, you know, filling into that role. Like the metas are starting to look a little more similar, which is exactly what we want, right?
100%.
And yeah, Nykthos being part of it is a huge part of that, because Nykthos is just insane ramp for any deck that has a single color. You know, if you're running a single color with a reliance on permanence, you're gonna have a high devotion, and being able to get high devotion with the Nykthos down, you can do obscene things with that. It's awesome. And green right now is one of the strongest examples of that we've seen in a lot of different metas, because you have cards like Cavalier of Thorns. Your Elvish Mystics and your Llanowar Elves are not only ramping you by providing more mana themselves, but also adding 1 devotion a pop, which is exactly what you're looking for. And you have finishers like Nissa, as well as a whole bunch of actual artifacts that are coming from the sideboard with Karn Great Creator. And so that deck is savage, because like all of cards like Meteor Golem are not good cards. Like you only get a 3/3, it costs 7, you get to blow up 1 thing, so okay. But when it's not taking a slot in your deck and you've got like 15 mana to work with, you don't really care that it costs 7. You know, so being able to just fetch it out of your board and just blow up whatever the 1 thing is that your opponent has, you know, that gives them a chance against you. I mean, the sheer amount of mana that mono green deck can create, even as early as like turn 3 or 4, it is mind blowing. Because Nissa doubles all forest production anyway, and can untap 1 of your lands per turn, which could also just beat Nykthos if your devotion is super high, which, my goodness.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then on top of that, Nykthos itself gains insane value. And the cards that carry devotion, like Cavalier of Thorns, are just amazing, super playable cards on their own. So, yeah, that deck is gnarly.
It's just solid. And I mean, even more so, like the card draw that deck can do, because a lot of the creatures that they're playing, like obviously they have the smaller end of ramp, but the Cavalier of Thorns, there's a lot of 4 power plus creatures that just have a 3 pip devotion, and they play Kiora, the 3 mana planeswalker. So every creature they play, draw a card. Creature they play, draw a card. Kiora lets you untap a permanent. So you've got the untap on the Nissa, the untap on the Kiora, and you're just like, that's like 3 Nykthos triggers in a turn. What could be some 30 plus mana? Like, yeah, you can't compete with the mana production in that deck. But I mean, it's great that it's in, because that is a premier deck in Pioneer, and it brings us closer. And it's going to be all the sweeter, you know, when our Eldritch Remastered comes in and we have Emrakul, the Promised End, and then we're fight rigging Emrakul in to make sure our opponent can't do anything with that. And then we're fine. Then it's great. But no, this has been a banger. Like Eidolon of the Great Rebels, that's in too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Well, and one of the things I've had a lot of fun with is taking some of these cards and kind of like trying to find new twists on them, because that's my favorite thing to do. And red is interesting right now because we have cards like Fanatic of Mogis, which is a card that nobody's playing right now. But when it enters, it domes your opponent based on your devotion to red. So, as you can imagine, you're right. And then Cavalier Flame is one of the other good, it's a pretty good Cavalier that is capable of delivering a lot of punishment to the opponent. My boy Perforos Bronze-Blooded cares about your devotion to red. I love that card. It's not good. It's possibly the weakest of all of the Theros Beyond Death gods, but man, it makes me happy. I love that guy. And Eidolon of the Great Rebels, like you said, is a great piece in like mono red aggro decks, but it also is red devotion. Yeah. And we're also in a format where Goblin Chain Whirler is legal.
Just also true.
Now, so fun possibilities. So anyway,
I've got a suggestion for you to try in about a month and a half. All right, so mono red devotion, but you play Sundown Pass and the Battlefield Forge. You splash in white only for Elesh Norn. And suddenly your ETB devotion, and you play Nick though, so you can just easily have the mana, right?
I'm on board with this. I'm absolutely on board with this. You splash for Norn. Yeah, so the Fanatic of Mogis can just like, just double tap the opponent.
So I don't know what happened, but I started blasting.
That's exactly what we're doing, and I'm so here for it.
I'm excited to see this now.
Yep.
The next couple months on Arena are going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Explorer's a really fun place to cruise around with. Also, actually, fun fact, when it comes to Mono Black Devotion, we also have Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Good lord, that thing's amazing. But on top of that, Phyrexian Obliterator is in Historic right now because it was introduced in a Historic Anthology previously. It is not Explorer legal as of this recording. However, once Phyrexia All Will Be One drops, it will be, because it's going into Standard as well as all of the previous formats. So all of a sudden, Mono Black Devotion with Gary
just gets
and
so
Obliterator,
much better. Oh my goodness.
That could be a thing.
Oh, and they have Corrupt too. So like between Gary and like Corrupt obviously not ETB, but just Swamps here is an extra like 6 damage. Like, I mean, you saw my Corrupt lethal the other day.
Yes, it was awesome.
We just need to top deck Corrupt and went, okay, that was great.
There it was, yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm excited. These are 2 really sweet listings, and it's going to be a sweet few months of Arena coming out and coming soon, and February and the new year. Everything's going to be great. Magic is great. This is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's a great time to be a Magic player, for sure. The other thing that I'm just going to touch on this briefly, is the Planeswalkers in Phyrexia All Will Be One. They confirmed there will be 10 Planeswalkers. They confirmed who they are.
Yep.
And they also confirmed that 5 of them will be completed.
That's right.
Which is nuts. They also we know one of them is Koth.
Yes.
I gotta be honest, that's amazing, because frankly, I assumed Koth was dead.
But he's alive.
We haven't seen him in years, right? But no, he's alive. He's still kicking. Still put up a good fight. Like, that's exciting. Like, it was really cool to see that. And then of the 9 other Planeswalkers, 5 of them are going to be completed. And I love that what Wizards did. I think it just was to kind of get out ahead of any leaks or kind of like mess with people a little bit. They commissioned art for all 10 of them as completed. So 5 of them are actually going to show up on Magic cards. The other 4, or 5, because they even did Koth.
They even did.
But they're like, what if, like, Bizarro World, if they got completed, this is what it would look like, which is pretty sweet, because now as people are trying to, I've heard there have been leaks as to who the completed Planeswalkers are. I don't engage with those because I don't want to know, frankly. I want to experience it when it's revealed.
Yeah, you want the spicy story to stick in.
Right, of course. Like, I want to experience it with everybody. Like, that's what made some of the other completions so memorable. Like, when we found out about, like, Tamio, especially in Kamigawa, that one hit. Oh my goodness. Like, I remember Twitter that day of, like, everybody posting pictures, like, just, oh my goodness, they did, what is this happening? Yeah, it was, like, that was such a shot to just to our collective hearts.
Yes.
And I expect the same to happen with whoever is completed here. you know, I can make some predictions. At the end of the day, it's gonna suck.
It is. I mean,
It's gonna hurt.
it's gonna hurt, but it is gonna be kind of cool too. I kind of had a slight theory progressing further because we don't know how this war is gonna end in Dominaria. So I have a theory that the reason they commissioned 10 is in the not the inevitability, that's not the right word because we don't know the outcome, but in the event that Phyrexia wins, those 10 might all be completed, and this is their foreshadowing of, hey, this might just happen.
That would be intense.
Right?
Yeah, so it's instead of like what ifs, they're just like, this is for later. Yeah. Whoa.
It'd be like the biggest foreshadowing, right?
That'd be intense. Though I do have one prediction that I'm willing to say, and I know it's gonna I don't know anything. I'm pretty sure. I suspect either the Wanderer or Kaito is going to get completed because their relationship was like the backbone of the Kamigawa story, and it's very clear that both of those characters love each other in a very powerful, meaningful way. So I suspect we are going to watch through one of their perspectives as the other is turned. I that's what I fully expect. So I think one is safe and I think one is toast. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do a parallel something with Jace and Vraska as well.
That would be sweet.
Like, how nuts would that be if Vraska was like a protagonist and like she discovers Jace is completed? Like, how nuts would that be? Like,
that'd be so heartbreaking.
That would be so intense. I don't know the Wizards would be willing to pull the trigger on that, but just imagine, like,
you never know though. Like, what, right? Like at that same relation, like Chandra and Nissa, because there's like something, right? But
yep, absolutely. Yeah. So I have a feeling that because in looking at the planeswalkers that are there, like there are clearly some very strong relationships between them, and I have a feeling like they're gonna play with that in one way or another, you know. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm looking forward to it as a fan of moving narrative, you know, like moving stories, because I want to have some feels, like some feels, Wizards. You know.
This is the plot twist that drives the game in our interest forward, and I'm curious in the comments, who do you think is going to be completed of the, I guess, well, 9, because we know Koth, unless that's a trick and there's actually 2 Koth planeswalkers. Wouldn't that just throw us for a loop?
That'd be weird. Yeah, I would be thrown. I would officially be. Yeah, if there was like a rare version and a mythic version that was completed, like what? I mean, they've done stuff like that in the past. Who knows? Yeah,
they have. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Who do you think? I think with that is the end of our listings today, friends. Ham, where can the fine people find you for further listings?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/HamHocks42. I am over there Monday through Friday, streaming, playing a lot of Magic Arena, weird, goofy decks, and silly, borderline inappropriate jokes, except sometimes when it's not borderline at all. And yeah, just having some fun over there. I'm also on Twitter and YouTube, just talking about Magic. This is what I do. So Astros, how about you, my friend? Where can people find you?
Hey, y'all can find me at Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and the YouTubes at Astralsflame. I'm doing the arena thing, some commander stuff, and just trying to hit up the good old Jung Dragon fight and keep it going. But with that, my friends, make sure you drop us a follow, subscribe to keep up on the heads up of our next listing. And until next time, we are your landlords.